Hi there, my name is Angel Brown, and welcome to Resistance. This video will introduce resistance, both as an innate property of materials and as a quantity that figures into Ohm's law and power calculations. We'll finish up with the series and parallel orientations of multiple resistor circuits, and put these concepts to use with several practice questions at the end. After watching this video, you should be able to answer questions like the following, which asks you to calculate the current flowing through a circuit given power and resistance. Before we dive straight into equations, let's define resistance, which, at its most basic level, is the force that opposes the current or the flow of charge. You should think of resistance as being just another dissipative force, just like friction or air resistance, sucking energy from passing charges. For conductors, such as the copper in many wires, we expect resistance to be very low. This makes intuitive sense, as we generally think of wires carrying charge with relative ease. When we turn to insulators, such as rubber or plastic, we should expect very high resistances. Rubber and plastic are often used as wire coating as well, and will actually prevent you from getting shocked by a live wire if you touch it. Resistors, on the other hand, will have intermediate resistances. Remember, resistance is like friction, and in the case of an electric stove, energy will be dissipated in the form of heat. So that was an overview of resistors. Now we'll get into those equations. Resistance is measured in ohms, and this is the equation for it right here. As we define each variable, resistivity, length, and cross-sectional area, pay attention more to the potential proportionality relationships. You're unlikely to do any calculations with this equation on the MCAT, but you are expected to know how it behaves. For instance, remember copper wires? Copper, as a material, has an intrinsically low resistivity. Resistivity is directly proportional to resistance, and so charge flows with low resistance in copper wires. Plastic, on the other hand, we said, is an insulator. That means it has a high resistance, which can also be traced back to its resistivity. Now, resistors vary in resistance due to more factors than just their chemical identity. First, a longer resistor will necessarily have higher resistance than a shorter one. This makes most sense if we continue to think of resistance as a dissipative force like friction. The longer the resistor, the farther that charges have to travel through it, and the more energy that will be dissipated. Cross-sectional area works in just the opposite way. Whereas a narrower resistor means charges are all jammed up, a thicker one gives those charges more room to move about, thus increasing their flow rate and effectively decreasing resistance. There's actually one more factor that affects resistors, which we have not brought up yet, and that is temperature. For the vast majority of conductors, as temperature increases, so does resistance. This is because the increase in temperature gives the flowing charges more kinetic energy, which results in more Brownian motion, more interactions with other electrons, and thus an effective increase in resistance to flow. Okay, now we're going to take a step back from looking at individual resistors to entire circuits with potentially several resistors. Ohm's law, the equation right in front of you, is how we measure the effects of resistance on circuits. V stands for the voltage drop, or sometimes potential drop, and is measured in volts. I is a symbol for current, and it is measured in amperes. However, sometimes you'll have to use the conceptual definition of current as charge per second instead of amperes. The final unit is resistance, which is measured in ohms. When the MCAT gives you a circuit, the V number gives you the voltage of a battery. When a power source is introduced, current will flow out of the positive terminal and back into the negative terminal, and resistance, if given, is also often reported next to its representative symbol in the circuit. You can use Ohm's law to calculate the resistance of a single resistor or of multiple resistors. In order to do that, however, you're going to need to calculate equivalent resistance, which we'll visit shortly. So, now that you've seen Ohm's law, this is a good time to mention internal resistance. In real life, even wires can't be perfectly resistance-free, and so neither can batteries. The equation we use to calculate internal resistance actually has some similarities to Ohm's law. V still stands for voltage, E sub cell is the EMF, or electron motive force, that the battery can muster, I is the current again, and R sub INT is the internal resistance of the battery, measured in ohms. Now, as we said before, batteries in the real world will have a certain amount of internal resistance, except when there is no charge flowing through them. In that case, the voltage provided by the cell is just equal to its EMF. Even though we've gone into a fair amount of detail about batteries in the real world, for most calculation questions on the MCAT, you'll be dealing with a perfect system, one with no internal resistance, and therefore the voltage provided by the cell will usually be equal to just the EMF of the cell. The term we probably associate the most with electricity in our daily lives is power, which is measured in the familiar units of watts. On the one hand, power can be defined as work over time. Recall that work being done refers to a change in energy, which explains the two representations of the power equation here. In plain English, power quantifies the rate at which energy can be transferred or transformed. Within a circuit, it is the current that drives charges to resistors. In the example we used before, the electric stove is a resistor that transforms energy into heat. Power can also be represented by a different combination of the same variables from Ohm's law. Remember, V, I, and R stand for the voltage, current, and resistance of the circuit. As can be seen most clearly in the final two iterations of this power equation, resistance is closely tied to the rate of energy transformation. The last concept this video will review is circuits with multiple resistors oriented either in series or in parallel. When resistors are arranged in series, there is only one pathway, and so the same amount of current flows through each resistor. However, because each resistor represents a dissipative event, voltage in the circuit decreases with each successive resistor. By the end of a revolution, a charge will have had all of its voltage drained out, indicating that, mathematically, the total voltage drop in the circuit will be equal to the sum of voltage drops across each resistor. In the same way, resistors in series have additive effects. To calculate their equivalent resistance for use in Ohm's law, just add up each individual resistance. Now, how about an example to solidify these concepts before moving on to parallel circuits? The question gives you an example circuit with a 6-volt battery and 3 different resistors. You are charged with calculating the voltage and current associated with each resistor. In all circuit questions, if a diagram is not given, it is a good idea to draw one. We label our 3 resistors and, because they are arranged in series, calculate equivalent resistance by just adding them up. Now, we are ready to determine the current. Rearranging the Ohm's law equation, V over R gives us half an ampere. That means that half an ampere is flowing through each resistor, and so the voltage across the 1 ohm resistor is half a volt, across the 4 ohm resistor is 2 volts, and across the 7 ohm resistor is 3.5 volts. As we move forward, note that equal current at each resistor will be a hallmark of the series arrangement. Now, parallel circuits are quite a bit different. They contain branch points before some resistors, so that each resistor is only receiving a fraction of the total current. The existence of multiple paths for current also means that charge will preferentially flow where there is less resistance, such that the voltage drop across each resistor is equivalent. This means that each parallel path represents a full lap around the circuit, and so each resistor has available to it the total voltage of the battery. This is the principle behind which our houses are designed, so that multiple appliances, which function as resistors, can be plugged in each room without needing an enormous power source. Another major difference between resistors arranged in series versus their arrangement in parallel is how we calculate equivalent resistance. For a parallel circuit, you must sum up the reciprocals of each resistance and then flip over the resulting fraction. Remember now, as we mentioned before, that current flow is inversely proportional to resistance. Charge will flow where it is easiest to flow. Therefore, the mathematical expression that shows equivalent resistance decreasing as successive resistors are added in parallel is merely a restatement of that. The more choices of path along which charge can flow, the easier flow is, and therefore, the less the effective resistance. Okay, let's finish up resistors in parallel with another example. This one is asking you to find the current across 2 resistors wired in parallel. After drawing the circuit out, we add in the given resistances and calculate equivalent resistance, being sure to sum the reciprocals and in the end flip your answer. In this case, we get 2 1/4, which is of course less than the resistance of either resistor on its own. Because we are working in a parallel circuit, voltage drop will be the same across each resistor. Thus, we can calculate the total current in the circuit, 2 amps. With this information in hand, We can now go about calculating the exact amount of current that flows through each resistor. Note that if you add up the currents through each resistor, you get 2 amps, the total current we just calculated. Okay, that does it for the material this video will cover. Now let's practice what you've learned on some sample questions. This first one gives you resistance and energy flow rate and wants you to calculate current. The answer should be C. Recall that energy flow rate is power, and power is equal to current squared times resistance. Rearranging the equation and solving for I gives us 15 amps as the answer. This next question is asking you about the proportionality relationships within the resistance equation. The answer here should be B. Resistance is directly proportional to resistivity, length, and temperature, while being indirectly proportional to cross-sectional area. Given the answer choices, an increase in length is the only option that will increase resistance. Our third practice question wants to know about resistors arranged in series. The answer here should be B again. Given Ohm's law, voltage drop will be constant across resistors arranged in series, while resistance increases. In order to maintain the constant voltage, current therefore must decrease. And now for a final question. This one asks you to calculate equivalent resistance for a given circuit. The answer should be C. The most straightforward way to solve this problem is by first calculating the equivalent resistance of the resistors in parallel. Then we can take that equivalent resistance and treat it as though it is a single resistor, arranged in series with the remaining 2 ohm resistor. Calculating for equivalent resistance gives us 2.8 ohms, which matches C. Before we finish, let's review what was covered in this video. We began with resistance and its defining equation, moving on to Ohm's law and the equation for internal resistance. We saw how power could be calculated conceptually using energy change and time, or by using a couple different combinations of the variables from Ohm's law, and how both the power equation and Ohm's law relate to multiple resistor systems. When arranged in series, current is constant, while voltage and resistance are both additive. When resistors are arranged in parallel, voltage is held constant, while current and resistances are additive. Remember, however, for parallel systems, that resistances add reciprocally, so more resistors actually means less equivalent resistance. Thanks very much for watching, and good luck in your continued MCAT study.